Acabamos de concluir 2 mesas sobre reuso aqui no Encontro das Universidades e eu estou com o professor Francis de los Reyes, da Universidade Estadual da Carolina do Norte, que vai falar um pouquinho sobre a discussão. Professor, can you explain to us about the initiatives that you have at your university, you brought to us here in this panel, and if you can talk about them a little bit?
Sure, yeah. Thank you. So at NC State, North Carolina State University, we do some research on water reuse and also energy reuse to help municipalities and wastewater treatment facilities be more efficient. At our university, our buildings actually use reuse water for flushing toilets. And then on our research side, we try to look at things like pathogens and chemicals in the wastewater that have to be removed, and the treatment technologies that can remove them.
Treating water for human use is already a reality for, at least for the United States.
So when you say human use, there are many different kinds of uses. So of course, there's the potable reuse, water used for direct consumption, like drinking and cooking. But then there's other uses where it doesn't have to be that clean, if you will, right? So if I'm just watering my plants, if I'm flushing my toilet, I just need to make sure that that's still clean and there are no risks in using that water. But I don't have to make it very clean that I have to drink it. So yes, there are different ways of treating water so that it's what we call fit for purpose. Depending on what you're going to use it for, it's got to be that level of quality.
And how do you think mixing these experiences, the experience you brought to us and the things you heard here at the panel, how can this help sanitation everywhere, or at least in the countries that have more to do about it?
Yeah, so I think it's really important to understand the lessons from different countries. Obviously, places like California in the United States are a little bit more ahead in terms of what they need to do, because they already have serious issues with water, water scarcity and demand. So they're really ahead in terms of the technologies, because they know that in 10 years, 20 years, they're going to run out of water if they don't do reuse. But also, it's also important to note that in the US, as I mentioned in my talk, there are people who don't have access to basic water and sanitation. And we should not forget that even though some communities are quite rich, there are communities that don't have access to water. Today at the panel, it was really important to hear all the different viewpoints from the different panelists. So we had regulators there, private companies, utilities, because they have the experience, whether in the business side, how to make it work financially, or how to make it work for their customers. And they know the demand in their basins, like the PCJ basin. So I think it was important to hear all that and learn from that. And I think it's important to learn from each other. You need to combine the research on technologies and models and business models with how it really works in the real world, right? So I think a dialogue and communication is important, learning from each other. I think the US also has a lot to learn with, from Brazil. I think you have really big utilities, like a PCJ basin is very big. You have a lot of customers, millions and millions of people. You have your own pressures, like Sao Paulo has its own pressures because it's a city and has a lot of demand. So I think it's important to learn the lessons from different contexts, because that might apply to your situation.
So we have great challenges all over the world, especially in Brazil, but we also have solutions.
Exactly. Right. And you have great, universities and students and research. So I think, I think Brazil obviously is a place where people think about and say, hey, that's so the Amazon. I heard over and over that people think, even Brazilians think, we don't have a problem with water. But that's not really true, because you might have a lot of water in one area, but then again, in a city like Sao Paulo, you might have water scarcity. And you don't really have a lot of options in terms of moving that water, right? So I think it's important to realize that, obviously water is important, where you live, the demands, the supplies, the quality of the water is important, where you use it. And so we have to think about context. What applies to one place may not apply to another place. And the lessons from another place might apply to us. So again, Brazil and then in the US.
That's why exchanging realities is so important. Okay, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the events in Brazil. TV Água e Saneamento no Encontro das Universidades, no Encontro Técnico e Fenasan 2025.